there, Alex here. Welcome to Love and Waves and a whole new season. Yeah, a whole new season. It's been a little while. It's been a hot minute, but uh, an incredibly difficult and yet incredibly amazing journey in my last few months. And so I came back in January after taking a little break post the loss of my dad last winter. And I had every intention to share all kinds of things as I've been, on my awakening path and journey. And I've got like literally stacks and stacks of different concepts that I wanted to, not just concepts, just things that I wanted to share in that I've learned that have helped me to come back into wholeness and, go up the scale of frequencies, that ascending the frequencies, that's what ascension is, right? Just ascending the frequencies to station higher and higher from a separated dual mind, a separated mind that I'm, experiencing here in this 3D world, and moving it into a unified mind, into, a balanced mind, into unity consciousness. It's called also Heros Gamos. It's which is a Jungian term. And so it's a balancing of the masculine, feminine, the anima, animus. It's an inner union. It's a mind and heart coherence. All of these things bring you out of separation consciousness, the 3D living through the 4D, and then into unity consciousness, starting at the 5D level and then above. And so that's what this is about. All right. That's what this channel is about. It's about this awakening, and it's just going to be becoming more about that. So even though I work on all planes of this, from the body to the mind and the work people do and relationships and all of these things, with the work that I do and that I have done all, for the last 20 years plus years, but this now is about this time. It is about this awakening time that we're in. And it's about this bifurcation that we see that's happening with those who are in the split mind, that are not wanting to rejoin the mind and are not wanting to connect with divine source consciousness, God, higher self, whatever the terminology you want to use. This is not about religion. It's not about, let's come back to religion. No, this is about understanding that you are a non-physical stream, soul, piece of the all. Just imagine a sun with a bunch of rays. You're one of the rays. And within that ray is the totality of the all, which is that you're a creator. You are creating your hologram. You are creating every single situation. And you decided who your family was going to be, who your soulmate was going to be, who the other, people that you meet, everything. You've decided all of this curriculum for yourself, this play, in order to go back home at this point. At first, it was to go out and play, and we all extended out as far as we could extend. And now we're in a time, including the planet, where we're coming back into the wholeness, into the in-breath of that divine source consciousness. And so we, as a individuated source consciousness stream, soul stream, as I call it, we as that individuated, we're living in this split mind. We're now bringing that mind back together, back into higher and higher octaves, moving up that scale of consciousness, which changes the paradigm and the available thoughts, the situation that's happening in our life, from duality and high, black, white, good, bad, war, all this duality, to higher and higher states of unification. It's beautiful. And it shows up first within and then in your hologram. So everything in your hologram is showing you what you've already created within. It's kind of like a printout. And so when you approach that and you interact with that, you relate with that. Everything is relationship. What's my relationship to anything? That's within a bandwidth. It's within an octave that is your station of identity. That's where your awareness is stationed at this time in terms of your bandwidth, your paradigm. And so that's what's showing up. And when you consciously go into that and you realize that, then you can really work with that and step yourself up and step yourself up and step yourself up. Let go of the lower stuff, less judgment, less attraction and aversion, just coming more into the center and weaving yourself back into wholeness again. That's what this is all about. And so, like I said, I have all these different kind of cues. Like even at one point, I was a physical trainer, and it was all about cueing people to learn how to move their body in such a way that was bringing it more into alignment. I mean, everything I've done has been to bring people into alignment on every level. to become more of who they really are so that spirit could live through you. I've been touting that for over 10 years, 15 years. Everything has been in that vein. That's what this person, personification of the all, is here to do. It's just here to teach these things. And so I kind of had to go through all these different layers, all the way up to, quantum morphogenetics, like physics and science, and just intense right at the very tip of the spear when it comes to like science and spirituality. It's the same darn thing, right? But as much as this brain pattern recognizes so much, it's I would say it's my highest gift. I used to think it was a thing that just made me weird, but it's actually became a real gift, and now I like love that about myself. And yet at the same time, I have to kind of let go of that too, because it's just the way this operating system works. It's the archetype that I got, that I decided for myself. But as I kind of went up, I finally, like, it just opened up. My crown just all this information just came pouring in, and it was just, and I put together everything I could that I could withhold in this 3D realm, right? With a multidimensional mind. It's like, I got it. Okay. And then it just, it's like, let go. And it just let go. And it's like all the linear just finally let go into complete nonlinear. And while I still have access to be able to string together and show and teach and explain how this divine blueprint literally is, in the infinite in what was the word, in well, whatever, I want to say infinitely, there's another word for that. Anyways, the infinitely tiny, like beginnings of creation, all the way to the cosmos, and like our own chakra system, the planets, like everything is in this divine blueprint came alive, and I can explain all these levels now. I can see it. I have direct access to that now. It's not even from the teachings I had before. Like I had to piece it together with the teachings, and I'm here not to teach new things, but to help you also remember, piece it together, remember back into wholeness, back into who you are, right? But then to just let all that go and be like, oh my gosh, it's just there. It's just accessible. And so now, although I can get into the flow, and I've always been able to do that, that's been, another, you know, beautiful gift and also a curse, just like the mind, where I would talk too fast, use the gear, by the way. There's a little gear on the upper right of the screen that you can slow down the pacing if I talk too fast. Yeah, that can happen. But all of that and the hands moving around and all these things, these little parts of my personality, yeah, like I just had to learn to love those pieces. And so I was saying something, and I kind of lost my way already. See how I do that? My judgment. Anyways, the whole point of this, coming back today, is that I want to teach these different things, or share these different things to help cue you to remembering yourself, to remembering the wholeness that you are, to bring you hopefully up, or to help you, I should say, assist you to move yourself up the scale and change your life, literally from separation, from duality, from less and, lower, just more pain, more suffering, lack, you know and moving all the way up through until you can come to a space of love and unconditional love, and a sense of really understanding that everything is one. I am the creator. And so it's not even manifesting from the mind anymore. It's materializing from knowing that you are it. This is all you. And sounds like a crazy concept, but it's the darn truth. And when you come into union within, you see it everywhere, and your whole outside world arranges accordingly. And it's amazing. It's an amazing way to live. And so that's what I'm here to help you do, is just to keep, jumping up these octaves. And I needed that time away, apparently, where I'd show up and try to speak and nothing would come out. I'm like, why? I have all these ideas. I created the space for it. But then if it didn't come out, I had to learn to be okay with that and to just love myself anyway. And so all those deep judgments, my 3D world was great. I didn't have any judgments or anything. I wasn't afraid of anything outside of me. It was that deep that inner critic that was just like, you're not doing this, you're not. And then the deepest one was, yeah, you're just not lovable. You're not worthy. of that. You're not worthy. Like, whoa, or you're not so much not worthy. I was kind of past that. It was more like you're worthless. You're not doing anything. You're worthless. What? What's that? And then, of course, yeah. So that needed to go. That was my ego's last, well, I don't know, there might be more stuff, but at least in terms of moving into the unconditional love arena, I'm over love for sure. But that unconditional love area right there, there was that stuff was, oh, the ego did not want to let that go. I was like, no, because as soon as that fear is gone, as soon as that negative crap is gone, there's nothing for the ego to hold on to anymore. It's in the back. It's still there, but it's sanctified now. The four sides of the mind have come into an integration now, into that balance where, yeah, it's just I'm not blocked by that anymore. It's all nonlinear. It's all just happening, and it's amazing. It's just amazing. So I'm going to share a lot of different things with you guys, different constructs and things, not to dive again deep into them because I don't want to get you stuck in the mind, but just to help you see, oh, wow, this kind of goes here. And oh, and if I just reach for that, then I can let this older concept go, step up a notch, right? And then let this one go and then go up a notch. And each of these, there isn't an actual hierarchy. It's just an oscillation that changes um, your lens. It opens up all of these fields and these dimensions to you. So you're living in higher and higher dimensions. And your awareness can move all around those different dimensions. It's not like you're just up here and you're just going to stay up here. You now have access to everything below you as well. I say below, again, beneath it, just, all of the frequencies up to that point. And then you push to the next and push to the next until poof, it just kind of opens up. It's really, really beautiful. And it's really worth doing. So the two sides, back to that bifurcation, you've got those who choose not to do this, and no, this is the one life, this is it. It's just this is the way it is, and there's a disconnection from source consciousness, and that's just what duality is. It's just a split mind, doesn't have access to the higher mind when it's split like that. And it is what it is. And then there's those that are awakening, and you certainly wouldn't have even been hearing this if you weren't on this path, the awakening path. And so that means you are coming into more and more and more unity within the mind. And so, yeah, the journey, there's a lot in the mind that's part of that journey, but there's also at any time just dropping the mind. So I'm going to be speaking from just that space of, we're not going to talk about anything mind wise, but when it comes through and somehow the soul stream just decides it wants to pull from some of these concepts because it may help in whatever it is that's coming out, then it may do that. And that's really cool. But I'm not like, even this whole list of things, they're just kind of top level ideas to just open it up, and then we'll see what comes out. So sweet spot soul stream. That's what we're going to be doing, streaming. People call it, I don't use the terminology channeling, not because it's, like I have a problem with it. It's just, I think it's overused. It's part of the whole new agey, stuff. And so I don't really want to link it with that. So just soul streaming is what I'm going to call it. Just, my intention is there. And so I'm just going to let it flow. I've always let things just flow, but even more so now, I don't, what would hold me back in the past was I want to teach a concept. I want to, and I would even try to make notes and try to like make sure that I got points. And every time I did that, I couldn't even use the notes. It was just like, no, you're not supposed to do that. You're just supposed to let it flow. So I'm just going to keep letting it flow, and hopefully you can follow through. And the beautiful part of this is, even if you don't understand what I'm saying, and you can turn down you can slow it down and so on, the intention, the unconditional love that I'm coming from, my intention to help you remember who you really are, not to teach you and help you get lost, but to help you come into, in any way to assist in your wholeness, and your remembrance. That's literally in the tonality of my voice. And that in that tonality are harmonics that are literally part of you as well. And so it's even just hearing the tonality with that loving intention and the frequency behind that. Like, I guess, and there's another new agey term, transmission, right? I guess it transmits to you something that your soul recognizes without language. Language is so limiting, and without the concepts of the mind, it's coming through, and your own DNA, many strands that are not physical in the physical DNA. I'm talking about the spiritual realms, the DNA of the spiritual realms. That's why it's not physical. People say we only have two or three strands. We got a lot more than that, but they're non-physical. It's also been called Entron DNA. Well, that DNA is rebuilding itself, and it's the keys and the harmonics and the frequencies that help that come back online, and that's what opens up your multidimensionality and your multidimensional experience. And your gifts come online, and all these things happen as you remember and bring yourself back into Heros Gamos, into a balanced heart and mind, masculine and feminine within that inner union. It's also called individuation. That's what this whole thing is about. We're going home. It's time to go home. And I want to help you go home. I'm here to help you go home. And so it's been a beautiful break, I would say. Hard because I had to get through the judgment and the ego. And the ego just finally went, all right, I guess. I don't know what it did. But even apprehending that, oh, wow, this mind, the way it thinks, that I always didn't like myself for it. It was like, oh, look, you're this, you're this, then just the way that this INFJ, whatever, archetypal mind works, how I receive and transmit information. It was always too much. It's an extremely rare, very highly misunderstood, way that, just personality type. And so I was always judging myself for it and criticizing myself. You're weird, you're different, you're the black sheep, you talk to this, you're all these things. I finally let that go in this last period, like, okay, no more judgments about that. And I finally was like, oh, that's actually one of my greatest gifts. Oh my gosh. Like that's cool. And then my ego comes in and it's just like, ha, you're special. That's a special gift. That's your superpower. And it was like, and I got to be with that for a second, and I was like, "Ooh, you sneaky little ego! No, 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 no. We're not hanging on to that either. We're not hanging on to that identity either." Yes, I understand that that's the archetype that this mind works with, and I think that's great. It is what it is. But that ego, man, I'll tell you, that's the part that's not me. Right. So we're going to talk about those different stations of identity. Where does that archetype come in? Where, the different dimensions. I think that's what we'll do in the next video. I'll talk about these different dimensions because, and again, it's all this divine blueprint. These different dimensions literally are in this blueprint. It's incredible. Everything is. And so, yeah. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that because I could go on and on and on and on. So I'll just say in closing that to reach higher states such as love and unconditional love. So I was before skirting around the high reason and love, and just like in those lines of the 400s, 500s. And the last time I had my frequencies read, which was some time ago now, in terms of how much I'm in the 5D or whatever. I like to quantify things. That's what this brain does. Um, I was like, I don't know, I want to say I was like 55% of the time in 5D. This was sometime last year. And now it's like, no, no, I get it now. No, no, I'm not dropping down anymore. I can't. I literally can't. It's just like the shadow. I've worked through so enough of the shadow to be stationed now at that point, but there's more to go. I'm not saying it's done. It's awakening is forever in this life. Um, but to get over that threshold from the linear to the nonlinear, from the mind to the just to the no mind, or to the heart, and that sanctification that's happened, it's just absolute freedom. It is absolute freedom and love and abundance and all the good things. Just faith that I provided for, and that what needs to come through this will come through this. I create just enough structure. My own inner masculine creates just enough structure, and then my divine feminine inside, my inner feminine. I say divine because I'm operating via the divine source now, not the distorted, egoic, masculine, feminine, separated mind. But that feminine aspect of me, which is much more my core essence, can just flow and be creative and chaotic and all the things that the feminine is within the container of the masculine that I have within. And so it's like this, as long as I just show up, and that's in balance, then there's nothing to do. It's just being. And you're being lived. And you can witness yourself being lived and things just unfolding. And yes, of course, I still use the mind and but it's like you get an idea because of the contrast of living in this 3D world. You just get an idea because, oh, that's pleasurable. Okay, I like that. It's like, give that a thumbs up. That's not so pleasurable. Give that a thumbs down. Not in judgment, just in saying that's an experience that feels good to me, that feels pleasurable to me, and that's an experience that is contracting to me. And so you become discerning, but just in that discernment and in that enjoyment of the now is born your the next thing. It's like you're interacting with the matrix from that space instead of from the mind space of this is good and this is bad and I need more of these things from outside in order to make my insides compensate for my lack within. Instead, it's the other way around. Everything is within and it's just reflecting without, and you're just enjoying what you're creating. And then when something shows up that doesn't seem in alignment, then you just create the next better thing, right? It's really an amazing way to be. I was trying to wrap it up, so I'll just wrap it up here. Lots more to come. I don't know when or how, but I'm going to be showing up. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for your likes and subscribes and your comments. Yeah, just whew, what a journey. What a journey. I love you. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you soon.